taste getting to your new PollyWaffle. PollyWaffle, PollyWaffle, golly, what's a mouthful? A creamy, creamy sensor, so you better get your new PollyWaffle. PollyWaffle, PollyWaffle, golly, what's a mouthful?
New PollyWaffle with an extra creamy centre. What a mouthful!
What a mouthful! PollyWaffle, what a mouthful!
And tune in to a new segment on Lake Mac Live Show with Martine here on FM97.3 Monday mornings after the 10 a.m. news. Working Directions Vocational Rehab brings you PollyWaffle, and it's all produced by Paul James. What do you want, Martine, to ask your local Pollies? Tune in for a gooey centre. What a mouthful, I tell you. And I am welcome this morning and I welcome him to our new segment, PollyWaffle, to the Lake Mac Life Show. Welcome aboard, ex-Democrat Brett Paterson.
Good morning, Martine. I'd like to say I'm very honoured to be the first person on PollyWaffle.
Yes. Well, I thought because you're local and because of all of the shenanigans that are going on in the Liberal Party at the moment, I know that you have personally butted heads with Tony Abbott and rubbed shoulders with him, butted heads though as well. And I thought perhaps you could give us some insight into what is going on, because did you ran against Tony Abbott in the seat of Warringah in the late 90s?
In the late 90s, 1998, I stood as the federal candidate for Warringah, which is Tony Abbott's lower house seat, and I stood for the Australian Democrats. And back in those days, the Australian Democrats were, I guess, what the Australian Greens are now, the prominent third force in Australian politics.
And what happened to the Democrats, the Australian Democrats?
Well,
because I mean,
story.
that's another show, because they were keeping the bastards honest.
Absolutely. The party's still going. It's been deregistered. Nevertheless, it's still operating, and I'm still a member. But it's rebuilding, and I think now more than ever, Australian politics does need a Democrat.
I reckon, well, we need someone with a voice there to weed out some of what is going on. So, I mean, my perception is, and of course we've all got our own ideas, have been seeing Tony Abbott in the background here, sort of as the puppet master, orchestrating absolute shamble and mess in the Liberal Party.
It's very destructive, and something he said that he would not do after Malcolm Turnbull replaced him. He said, and I mean, I think everyone can remember it, that there'll be no backbiting, there'll be no undermining. And of course, he did the complete contrary. He undermined Malcolm Turnbull. And look, not that I'm very much an Australian Democrat, very much centre-left. Nevertheless, I thought that Malcolm Turnbull wasn't doing such a bad job for a Liberal, and he really was. His agenda was derailed because of the destructive forces of Abbott, and really, in Abbott, for the country's sake, needed to let Turnbull go forth. Let him govern, so as the Australian people could have, because they did vote for Malcolm Turnbull, and he did, I think, deserve the right to finish his term. But look, I mean, it's a very, very aggressive game. I stood against Mr. Abbott.
So tell us about your experience. I mean, what was we're talking 20 years ago. What was he like back then? Well,
he was obviously quite smart, and I had numerous debates with him and public forums where I stood next to Mr. Abbott and addressed various crowds. But he was a pretty tough cookie, very bright, very, very smart. I think he's a Rhodes Scholar. Very, very smart, very bright. But he's a very assertive and quite an aggressive politician. And you had to be quite wary, not wary, not that he was going to biff you or anything like that, but he was a tough politician.
Well, I've heard otherwise, Brett Paterson. I've heard otherwise, that there was some, sort of shaking up behind the scenes, behind...
yes, that's right. There was debate at the Mossman RSL one time, and I think it was back in those days, the reconciliation debate was quite prominent. I was there with Mr. Abbott, and the Liberal Party got a dressing down because back in those days, if you remember, the Prime Minister would refuse to apologise to the
Yes,
Stolen generation,
course.
which was just dreadful. Anyway, I think the Liberal Party and Tony Abbott got a bit of a caning at this particular forum at the Mosman RSL. And anyway, after it, I was walking down. The next minute, Tony Abbott's right up behind me. And I thought, oh my goodness, what's going on here? So there was that. I mean, he didn't do anything. He certainly didn't do anything illegal. But I could feel his presence up behind me. So
it's almost schoolyard bully stuff, isn't it, though?
Well,
to be honest, for us people sitting back here.
It didn't worry me. I mean, I'm bigger than he is, but it's just that and of course he didn't do anything wrong, but it's quite an aggressive game.
You've got to be tough.
You've got to be. Oh, absolutely. I mean, you've got to read stuff in the newspaper that you do not like, and things
and
like
are there things said about you that simply aren't true as well? I mean, are you picking up papers or looking and seeing, stuff that you just didn't say? I mean, does that go on?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. But, what can you do? I remember, I had a quite a long political career. I stood for Warringah in 1998 and then down to Albury, and I stood against Susan Ley in Albury. And
was she aggressive? I mean, she doesn't come across as she's assertive.
No, she's quite pleasant.
Yeah,
no, quite pleasant. Okay. But there was a big biff between the Liberal Party and the Nationals. Now, I know that everyone knows that they're in coalition.
Yeah.
But when I went down to Farrer to run as the federal candidate for Farrer, Tim Fischer had retired. This was a National Party stronghold.
Sure.
Tim Fischer had just stood down, and they had a lovely man by the name of Bill Bott, who was replacing Tim Fischer as the Nationals candidate. And Susan Ley, they put Susan Ley up to run against the Nationals. Now, so they're in competition, yet they're in coalition. And as it happens, the National Party lost one of their key seats to the Liberals when Susan Ley won the seat.
Wow.
And, and I used to say to the Nationals, why don't you guys break up, become an independent party like us, the Democrats, and let the Liberals earn their vote, Yeah. But anyway, they're happily in coalition.
So it's still, this stuff you're talking about sort of 15, 20 years ago is still happening now. I mean, this is still,
absolutely.
We're still rolling around, playing the same games, doing the same thing. It's just...
In fact, it's more fractured. Fractured. I mean, back in those days, you didn't see, the revolving door of leaders. I mean, we had John Howard, and we had, it was, and Bob Hawke, although there was the Hawke and Keating trouble towards the end of the Hawke reign, but there was a lot more consistency. However, I mean, if you look back into the 70s, of course, with the Peacock and Howard, I mean, they were constantly, going for the leadership there. But
very much.
I just think that, but at the moment there's a lot less stability than there was, and I just think it's quite unfortunate that Malcolm Turnbull has met that fate, considering Abbott, made it very clear that he was not going to undermine
It is. And I'm really interested to hear more about, the sort of the behind the scenes, the aggressiveness that goes on, because we see it a little bit, especially at Parliament at question time. I mean, the carry on, but this is actually going on in the background. And I also notice here that reading through your very long resume here, that you actually were up against Tanya Plibersek.
Tanya Plibersek in 2010, Bob Baldwin in Paterson in 2008.
And what was Tanya like? Because I'm a bit of a fan of Tanya. I think she's
Tanya.
great.
I think she's okay. But look, there's things about Tanya Plibersek. Although she's a left-wing warrior, I note that the homeless rate in her electorate tops the state. Homeless rate in her electorate, in Tanya Plibersek's state. If you look at the amount of homeless people in the state, it tops the state.
Get out.
I mean, what's happening there?
So we've got to look in people's backyards.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, if you're going to be a left-wing warrior, you need to look in your electorate and see what you're doing.
Exactly.
But look, I have, I mean that I was quite surprised when I saw those figures.
And it isn't until someone does have a peek through and know what they're looking for that these sort of questions arise. So what are your thoughts, being an ex-Democrat, having, sort of come to head with Tony Abbott before, is this been laid to rest? Is ScoMo going to be allowed to lead the party, or do you think there's still some unrustling there?
I think ScoMo's a very tough politician. He's very assertive, he's clearly very intelligent, and I think he has the character and the strength, to carry the Liberal Party through. Whether or not they win against Bill Shorten, I'm not sure. But and I also listen with great scepticism the attacks from the ALP attacking the Liberal Party about the change of leadership with Malcolm Turnbull.
It's the kettle calling the saucepan black, whatever that thing is, isn't it? We can hardly.
Who can forget? Who can forget the
mess?
Just a terrible. Yeah. There was just blood on the floor.
Yes.
With what are their names? Just completely forgot their names. Who was the last prime minister?
Yeah, you're talking about Gillard and
Gillard and Rudd.
And Rudd,
that was just embarrassing. And
it was.
And here's the Labor Party attacking the Liberal Party. I just can't believe the hypocrisy. However, to the ALP's credit, Bill Shorten's been there for a long time, and he has been, consistent as a opposition leader.
Sure.
But who knows?
Who knows what is in store for us. Well, thank you so much for your insights this morning. It's always a pleasure to hear from someone. You're living local now, of course, in
yes.
the Hunter, Newcastle Way, a beautiful part of the world. You've moved on from the North Shore of Sydney and out of Albury, but you're advocating that probably someone else to keep the bastards on us needs to
Well,
step
I think
up.
the Democrats might come back. I think behind the scenes, the Democrat numbers are growing again, and hopefully will be re-registered, and we can make some sort of showing.
So if people are interested in joining any party, whether it's Liberal, Labor, or Democrats or whatever, what's your first step? Do you get onto the internet, look them up, see what their policies are?
Membership is very easy.
Yeah.
All major parties have on their websites, very, very easy to sign up. You've just got to make sure that you're not a member of another political party. You can only be a member of one. Yes, got to be very careful there.
Yeah.
And yes, if you just go to their websites, you'll be able to sign up straight away. Liberal
And
Party, Labor Party.
then if you're a member of a party, do you have voting rights? What's the go there?
Well, it depends. Apparently the Greens don't have voting rights on their leadership, and yet they crow about their internal democracy. I know that the Democrats had complete democracy within their divisions to vote and get out of their leaders, which people argue was one of our key reasons for our demise.
Right, yeah.
But I know that the ALP do, and that the Liberal Party have, limited, voting rights within their party in terms of leadership. But look, I'm not quite sure. I couldn't give you an accurate answer.
So membership is going to give you a lot of insight, I would say. They'd send you a little newsletter, I'm sure.
Yeah. But look, my advice is, if you have a leaning left, right, join your local political party and get involved. If you have an interest in politics, there's nothing more fascinating.
And meet like-minded people as well, and get things done, and get your voice heard. It troubles me when I do hear people complain, the Pollies are doing this or they're doing that. Get involved.
Get involved.
If you don't like what's going on, join. Well, you don't even have to join. Go to a meeting. You might have to be a member to go to some of the meetings, but, go to a meeting, see what people are doing in the community, and if you don't like it, is there an opportunity to have your say, or if you do like it, how's, to bolster some community behind that?
I couldn't agree more, and it's a great way to vent frustration if you do have a grievance with the political system. Join the political party of your choice and get involved. It's a wonderful experience. I had 12 years of it. It was just a marvellous experience. Met very interesting people on both sides of politics.
Sure.
Very nice people.
Sure. And you don't have to be always the front person either. No. You worked as a researcher for Aidan Ridgeway, I've got here as well.
Yeah, did research for him. Yeah, did all these different things. Yeah, that's right.
So if you've got skills, different skills,
Sorry?
If you've got different skills to offer, even if you're just taking the notes for the meeting, that's fantastic.
That's exactly right. You can get involved with different campaigns. And as you said, I was involved with campaigns with Aidan Ridgway, and you do different projects with him, and then you do different projects with other politicians, and you do research for them, help them with their campaigns, help them,
and help them get it right
drives.
as well.
Absolutely.
I think that's important. I tend to think, and I love talking to people like you who are behind the scenes people, as well as you've been out the front, but because sometimes I don't think that they've got advisors. I don't think they've got a team of people. They need better people. I tell you, they need a better team of people behind them.
Well, that's right. I mean, I often sit at home and thought, who has written this speech?
I know.
Or they get, who has dressed this person? I mean,
That's exactly right. That's me when every time I'm watching Q&A or The Drum every night, who dressed this person today? Who bought him that tie? Surely there's someone, as he left home this morning or got into that, before he got into the camera, who said, look, that tie is just going to blast everyone's eyes away. So, look, good talking with you, Brett Paterson. We wish you all the best. Look, we look forward to the rise of the Democrats or whoever you choose, whatever political party is out there, to try and keep these bastards honest, because we need people like you out there.
That's a great slogan. And look, all the best with PollyWaffle. I'll be very interested to see how it evolves, but it sounds like a very interesting venture, and good luck to it.
Yeah, so we're getting local Pollies after the 10 o'clock news every Monday morning to let us know what they are doing in the community, and also I want to know from our listeners what they want to hear about. So that's terrific. So thank you so much. We'll let you get back to it.
Thank you very much, and thanks again for the time. Thank you.
Thanks, Brett Paterson.
PollyWaffle with an extra creamy centre. What a mouthful!